Okay, poor Noah Lyles. Now, I got to be honest. Um, I didn't actually know who this kid was until this situation came up. So Noah Lyles is in. He's what is he? He's a sprinter. I think he's an American sprinter. He's an Olympian, and he recently, after a race, gave. Speaking of hot takes, he gave a take that had him getting completely buried, crushed on the internet. NBA players came for his rack. Damian Lillard came for his rack. Kevin Durant came for his rack. Aaron Gordon came for his rack. Even Drake came for his rack. This guy is getting buried for saying that NBA champions are not quote unquote world champions. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about this because this guy is getting dragged for saying this. This kid is getting dragged for
He's a kid.
what I thought were just whatever comments. But here we go. No, Noah Lyles. Noah Lyles.
Champion of what? The United States? You know, the thing that hurts me the most is that I have to watch the NBA finals and they have world champion on their head. World champion of what? The United States? Don't get me wrong. I love the US at times. But that ain't the world. That is not the world. We are the world. We have almost every country out here fighting, thriving, putting on their flag to show that they are represented. There ain't no flags in the NBA.
Unbelievable.
So yeah, that little clip got him going viral in all the wrong ways. He is getting dragged for this. Dragged. If there is an equivalent of cancel culture when it comes to sports, I'd say this kid is experiencing this right now because he said this. So they talked about this on the Levitard show. They talked about this on the radio yesterday. I was driving, listening. This thing is kind of everywhere with what this kid had to say, and yeah, he's definitely getting dragged for it. What do you think of what's going on with him in these comments?
Uh, I think. Well, when I saw it first, I saw people defending him. So, and it was a lot of people agreeing with that too. So, he's getting it both ways. I know one thing that the media though they're letting him have it. The media and NBA players and NFL players too, they're letting him have it, and of course regular people too. But I think that there's also a large group of people that agree with him, and I to those people I say yes, technically he is correct. So if we want to be the technical police, then okay, fine. Then agree with this take. But to me, the NBA is its own entity. I mean, the points have been made. The NBA is its own entity. There's all kinds of international players. I don't know the percentage, but the best international players from the varying countries come play in the NBA. And there's a ton of them, and it's only increasing year over year. So it is more of a global brand. Now it's not how it was in the 80s and 90s where we were just slaughtering world competition. That's not really a thing anymore. So to say that, the NBA is the best league in the world, which it is, it's, people can make an argument that, who knows, if a championship NBA team played another championship team from another country, how would that play out? That's not a dream team. That's just one roster in the NBA. So could they beat one of the best teams in another country? Who knows? But the point is, I think it's overblown. I think he was being a little too technical. He sounds like a young person, literally his voice, mannerisms, and everything. He sounds like Glover. He talks like Glover, Donald Glover. So he seems like a young kid. It seems like his life is all track. He sounds like, that's his whole existence, literally. So, and he has to be because he's really good too. So, I heard about him a couple years ago. and I'll watch his races every here and there. And the guy's good. He's fast as whatever. He breaks records. So he's no joke. He's no pushover out there. But for him to throw the NBA players under the bus like that, I know he was targeting the league, but the guys are out there too. So for him to throw those guys under the bus like that, I don't think he really thought that one through all the way. But what about you, man? How you feel about this Noah Lyles?
Yeah, I think that the people who are criticizing his comments need to sit their ass down. Now, I am in a position in which I have to defend him because of the backlash that he's getting. Now, if the backlash wasn't so strong, I'd be like, okay, you know, hey, bro, you say something like that, maybe somebody's gonna have a problem with that. You'll understand why because of X, Y, and Z. But hey, we can move on. But the degree to which he's getting dragged, I am now fully in his corner and think that everyone who is criticizing him, including NBA players, need to shut the hell up. Okay, because he's right. The NBA is a domestic league. It's not a world league. So is it the best? See, what people are doing is they're conflating this kid's comments with the notion that the NBA is not the best league in the world. That's not what he said. What he said was, when you're an NBA champion, you're not a world champion, and that's correct. You're not. The NBA
Right.
is a domestic league. It's not a world league. So if the NBA, if they were to create some sort of world tournament where the NBA championship roster competed against other countries for some sort of world medal or some shit, and the NBA roster won that tournament, that team would be a world champion. But you're not a world champion when you win in a domestic league. You're a champion of that league. So
Yeah.
you're a champion of American basketball. You're a champion of North American basketball if you want to take it that far, because you want to include Canada, fine. But you're not a world champion per se. It's not a world league. It's a domestic league. But people took it too far. They read too much into his comments. They took what he said as a shot across the bow against the NBA, as if he was suggesting the NBA is not the best league in the world. These are two different thoughts here. The NBA is the best league in the world, but the winner of that domestic league isn't a world champion. So was it a bit technical? Sure, that's fine. But yeah, he was making a technical point. I don't think it. I don't think it warranted the backlash that it got. I don't. I don't think he was taking a shot at the NBA or its players. He wasn't. He was just saying you're not a world champion. And he's coming at it from the standpoint of someone who competes in world athletics. He does the Olympics, he does world competitions. So, it is what it is. I just think people need to take a chill pill. By the way, they do a World Cup right now. They're doing the they're doing the FIBA right now, and the USA is kicking ass in FIBA. Anthony Edwards out there just running around out athleting everybody, being the best player on the team for anybody who's keeping up with that. Inevitably, I believe the USA will win that. The team USA will be a world champion. This is not a complicated concept, but these sensitive ass NBA players and the rest of these people in the media took it there because of who he is. His name has no cachet. So I feel like if someone with more credibility or cachet had said this, probably wouldn't have been as much backlash. But because he is a relatively lesser known, Team USA athlete, he doesn't necessarily carry enough gravitas with his opinion to be considered credible. And so that contributed to why it was appropriate for him to incur the backlash that it did. But do I think that he was wrong in what he said? No, I don't. The NBA is a domestic league, but it's an international league, but it's a domestic one. It's a domestic one. It just is. Whether you like it or not, those are the facts. So if, all he was saying was, an NBA champion is not a world champion. I always thought that it was a little sus that they used to call the winner of the NBA finals, NBA world champions. That's kind of weird to me because it's not a world league. from the standpoint that you do not have other countries as a whole represented within the umbrella of the NBA. All of those international players are independent contractors, just like the rest of the NBA players. When it comes to the NBA, they're not representing other countries; they're representing themselves and the NBA team that they play for, which is a domestic team. So I kind of think that it was a bit heavy-handed. Leave the kid alone.
I hear your point, but my point is that it was his tone and his delivery to other professionals, which was the problem. He's making it seem as though he's greater than NBA players. And the NBA players is like, bro, why you gotta make us an example in order for you, whatever. Like it was very egotistical and narrow minded. Is my point. Yes, he's technically correct, but like how far are we gonna go with being technically correct with things? So, I mean, you can go down the list. Well, I mean, in baseball we call it the World Series. Well, it's not. There's other baseball teams, other places. But when you have a corporation called the NBA, MLB, and NFL, you can name your branding within your company, whatever the hell you want. So I can call it World Champions if I want to. It's just the big three championship. You can get 3 on teams anywhere. Yeah, but this is my corporation, and I'm going to call these guys world champions. So why are you going to sit here and throw something that's so trivial like that? Because everybody knew that already, but it was so trivial, no one brought it up. But he brings it up on a world stage after he finished winning to say, I'm a real champion, and these guys aren't. That's what it comes off as to those players. So that's why they were a little sensitive around the collar. Now, when you talk about the media attacking this, well, the media is USA America, and you got to back up America at all costs. So, and you also got to back up your brands, the NFL, NBA, and stuff like that, and vouch for them and be front people. Shields, what they call them. So, of course, these guys are really digging into them. So now that explains the NBA players, the NBA, NFL, and the media people. So my point was that I do agree with him, but my point was that it's so technical. So let's just go down the line. Now, the letter W, it's not two W's, it's double V's. So why don't we call it double V? Nobody's going to ask that. We roll on with it and we just go about our business because who cares? So my point was, who cares? So which side am I on? I'm on neither side because I see it from all sides. But I do think that his level of maturity is what led to him saying this in such a loose fashion to be misinterpreted. So technically, he is correct. But technical police, they find themselves in a lot of conversations that they technically don't need to be in. So I feel like it was poor judgment on his end. I do feel like the people that are dragging him through the mud have ulterior motives, and I just stated them. So it is a little heavy-handed, unnecessary. But at the same time, I do feel as though as being a star and well-known as he is now, he needs to know how to carry himself because LeBron would never throw another group of athletes under the bus for, whatever, because, brand of NBA. Now he'll throw under, other NBA teams under the bus and, he'll do his own little whatever. But when it comes to like, other athletes, other sports, and he's an ambassador for everything, So I just think that he should learn a little bit more discretion while he's up there on his panel and not make himself seem better than other athletes. So
Yeah, I didn't read it that way. That's fine. He singled out the NBA specifically because that's the only domestic league with which they do that. The Super Bowl winner isn't called World Champions.
MLB is World Series.
It's called the World Series, but they don't really use it it's not really prevalent when they call the winner of the World Series World Champions. So I think he singled that out because they do that in the NBA more than any other sport. And then also, I don't know if he volunteered this commentary or if he was asked a question and then he just expounded on the question. Because if he was sitting up there doing his thing and they asked him something and then he responded, then to me, I think all of this is completely ridiculous. Like, he's entitled to the opinion that he has about how he perceives the invocation of the word world when it comes to sports. And if he was asked a question and he answered it based on how he feels, it is what it is. Now, if he just sat up there and he just started being like, and he just went in on his diatribe, like, this is how I feel about world champion, then okay, maybe I can see where you're coming from. But if he was just answering a question, I kind of feel like this is unnecessary. But again, I don't know that that's the case. Pretty much all I've seen on the interwebs is this particular snippet that we played. And I just kind of think that people are being hypersensitive and using this as a launch pad to go at this kid for coming after the NBA. And there's a tint of, see, I think you're right. And I think that the players felt like he was trying to suggest that their championship merit is somehow diluted because they're
Right.
not actually a world champion. So I can understand that. That's fine. And if I would disagree, I think that they need to calm down. I don't think that's what the kid meant. And I think that they understand that. But people get on the phone and they just love to make stuff viral and go after people on social media. So I understand that that's the way the world is. But outside of the players, there's a hint of nationalism with respect to how he's being treated in the media, and that to me, I just think is goofy.
Yeah, I agree. I think
but
I think the media was very aggressive with him. I agree with that.
yeah, that was just silly. Y'all know what this kid meant. Like, come on, man. That's some of that stuff where it's like, y'all know what this person's talking about. You just choose to just feast on it. Like, where's the beef anyway? Because we're in the world of just the need for content and attention at all times. Yeah, it's blasting this jit for nothing. But whatever.